You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Ahrens. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Fishing the DMV. I'm your host, Thomas Ahrens. Today, we're heading back to Lake Anna with a crowd favorite, a guy that blew out the record at Lake Anna this past winter, Tyler Heuple Guide Service. Sir, thank you so much for coming back on today.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Love being here. It's been a while since I've been on. I've still been fishing. Definitely not as much. Been on the lake, keeping an eye on what's going on. And yeah, man, I'm just happy to be here. Happy to talk to Fishing the DMV.
What have you been up to the past couple of months?
All over the place. A lot of work. Making sure the guide business is running. More work. Got a new girlfriend too. She's awesome. So she keeps me busy as well. But love spending time with her. She's been out in the lake too. She can fish as well. So that's been fun. Like introducing her to bass fishing. But really, man, just working out, getting on the water when I can, and just spending time with the people I want to spend time with.
How hard was it? I remember, I think you came on the show a couple weeks after you started your guide service and it was just you. And now it's grown and you have people that I guess, I don't even know if you want to call it work underneath you, work with you. Has that managing transition been a learning curve?
Yeah, it's been a learning curve. So I've been, luckily, like with my professional background, I had management experience from a really, really young age. Like I was thrown into like a management position at a very, very young age in my professional career right after college. So I'm very comfortable like working with people, and I don't view it as them working under me per se. The way that we run it, honestly, and I'm not like afraid to say it, is like, Timmy, Matt, what's your availability? Timmy, Matt, you guys are the ones that like, because I know it. I live that like day in and day out growing the business. I lived being on the water. Like I was like a fishing nomad. Like I was wild how much I was out there, like sleeping in the Forerunner, working my 9-to-5 remote, building the business and doing all the hard work. So I know what goes into guiding. So with them, I was like, man, it's your guys' availability. And if you like, what are you worth? Like that's important. I'm not going to tell them what they're worth. So like everything that comes out dollar amount, I talked directly with them, more so with Matt, just with the frequency that he's guiding. And Matt has a business sense, obviously, and has made a living being his own boss. So I put people in place that I trust that they know what they're going to do. I don't want to put people in place and micromanage it and have that. So Matt has complete freedom. I'm just there to ultimately just say, okay, and talk with them. I mean, that's basically how it goes. I manage the trips. I get the client. I pass the information along. I do all that, keep track of the books, et cetera, and all that stuff. But as far as that's how it's gone. But yeah, the transition for me was simple, especially with someone like Matt. Like I said, like I would have never. Matt is the perfect person to do this because I just trust him and he's going to manage himself.
It's crazy how things happen when they happen. Where I remember talking to Matt back in early January about him thinking, I think I need to live stream one of these events. And he does, and he cracks, I think it's like his second live stream he did that year, and he cracks a mega bag, like an absolute mega bag on camera while it happens. And then you decide to go out there and smoke damn near 40 pounds.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. Like as you're growing your business, you have these two phenomenal days that happen so close together.
Yeah. I mean, and we did it. And like, I'm not afraid to say it now, and I don't really care, but like our internal discussions were like, let's go show them what we do. Like, because we all knew that we could do this and the fish that we were around. And then we were motivating each other. Like we wanted to beat each other. Me and Timmy, like, almost yelled at each other during one of the winter series. Like I got pissed at him about this. So people thought that we were like saying that, like all this stuff and about that, but we were competing against each other. But then we were coming back and we were like congratulating each other and like kind of shaking our head and saying like that's what we know how to do when we go out there, and we're going to show everybody that's how we do it. And if you want to relate that back to the guide business, then you know, we're the guide business you want to go out with if you want to have a chance to catch fish like that. And it was awesome and it was crazy. our winter was busy. Like, it was crazy how many people were calling to go out and freeze their ass off, because it's not like the mental aspect of fishing in that weather and all that. Like, it's not easy. It's not. It makes it a lot easier when every fish you catch, is going to be 4 to 8 pounds, but it's still just not easy. So it was huge. And catching what Matt did is I still say cooler than what I did, because it wasn't an official tournament. But I was practicing for the next Sunday or the next Winter Series event when I did what I did. And the thing was like, I had caught a few 6-pounders and didn't weigh them before I even broke that record. So, and then I started realizing what was happening, and I was like, this isn't going to happen on tournament day. I'm about to lay the hell into these fish. And it just kind of happened, and the publicity that got was extreme. It was good and bad, and it was polarizing. It was like the first moment for me where it was the negativity was like insane. It actually got to my head a little bit, but the positive side of it, yeah, it did a little bit. And then once it settled down, and I was like, all that negativity, all it did was help the business. So at the end of the day, it just made people like, more impressions, more clicks, more people starting conversations, more people doing that. And, so it was a lot. It was a lot. Like, I was daydreaming, because I know I was at the fishing expo the day after it happened. And we were sitting there talking about it, and it hadn't set in then at all. I think I was still just like, what just happened, or what is going on with how well we're fishing this Winter Series and everything. And then looking back on it, I was just like, I shouldn't be surprised. I knew that's what we could do, and everything that happened of it, like, couldn't have gone better. It was honestly great.
It is interesting when you mention that, not to dwell on negativity too much, because I feel like the fishing industry is saturated with it. But yeah, you catch a big bag and then people want to hate on it. And it's such an interesting thing. And maybe it's not just unique to fishing culture, and it's because I'm just so deep into it right now. It just feels like it's rampant everywhere. This negativity and wanting to snipe at people for having success.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. I mean, I've personally have never been like that. So I don't understand that. Like, I've always wanted to celebrate other people's success, whether it's like my friends, my family, so anybody. So I think that was the biggest take from me, is like seeing that and people being negative about it. And at the end of the day, it's a bigger reflection on somebody else if they have a feeling to be negative about it. All I did is, I was someone who has loved fishing since I was 11, 10 years old. And when I say nobody spent more time on that lake, not this year, I'm not going to lie to anyone, I haven't spent the most time on the lake this year, but the 3 years prior to that, nobody was on that lake more than me. Nobody was there from dark to dark, busting their ass, trying to learn that lake that is a pain in the ass for a lot of people, trying to just understand it, crack the code, hate myself some days, and just get better every single day. So at the end of the day, I was like, I didn't do anything. I just did what I spent so much time trying to learn how to do.
How many years has this business gone for? Was it 2019?
Yeah, it's our 3rd year now.
Wow, 3 years.
Yeah, three years, and then 3 official years.
That's insane, dude. You talk about the lake being a fickly thing. It is interesting that you go from 40-pound bags, 30-pound bags in January, February, even in December, and then the weights really drop off. And they're not terribly drop off, but where the hell do these fish go?
So there's a lot into that, and this winter gave me a lot of insight into that. And I won't say it's 100% the truth, but a lot of it is the fish are just fat as hell in the winter. So like, the weights are dropping off. Like, if you catch a 3-pounder right now, that fish was probably 4.5 pounds.
Damn.
Like, the way that they're built in the winters, that fish was probably pushing 4.5 pounds, and the 5-pounders are pushing 6. So like, they're just fat. They're eating more than they eat, I think, any time of the year. And I also thought about that. Maybe they're eating just as much. I promise you, these fish are fast as shit too in the winter. Like, they aren't slow. They aren't doing anything. If they want to swim and they want to eat, they're going to eat. And maybe their metabolism is slower, so they stay fatter longer. Whereas right now with the warmer water, they're eating, but their metabolism is going so fast, so they're staying leaner. That's kind of what went through my mind. So I don't think they're necessarily going anywhere. It's just the average fish you're catching is just weighs more during that time of year. Um, and also, I mean, what we're doing in the winter and how the fish set up, uh, it is a little bit different. They're more spread out too every single time. Even the summer when they're schooling together, they're still spread out. The big ones tend to just really congregate together in the winter and move as one in like specific areas, um, and do such specific things. Like it's so like once you figure it out in the winter, you figured it out. You really don't have to do that much to get around them. Whereas like in the summer, the spring, they're different stages doing different things. They're all over the place. And like, yeah, there's a brush, like, so say there's like a brush pile bite and it's a really good bite and there's better than average fish on it. And like this time of year, um, there's still like less of those fish doing the same thing in the winter. Like in the winter, there's more fish doing the same thing that are bigger than the amount of fish doing the brush pile thing, if that makes sense. Like the average weight of the fish doing a specific thing in the winter is way more than the specific fish doing something right now.
Do you think as time goes on, as those F1s get more entrenched in the population, that you're going to see those weights start creeping up there other times a year?
Yeah, that's a good thing because, like, I mean, I don't know how much the F1s, like a typical Florida bass, will respond to a cold front, but I imagine not as favorable as a northern. So I don't know how much they'll affect the winter weights. I still think the northerns are going to be the big winter weights. But I do see like that in the springtime and in the summer, those F1s really bumping it up. You know, maybe like a pound or two or so. Nothing crazy, but yeah, I do think that'll happen.
It's absolutely wild, like how well this lake has popped off over the years, and now we're sitting here. We're approaching July 1st, and this is something that happens in a lot of lakes where this time of year the boat traffic becomes a thing, but it can still be really good fishing. Overall, like how's the lake doing right now this time of year?
It's doing good. I mean, they're doing what they always do. I'll break that. That's so like dumb for me to say because I've been out there so much, but it's fishing like how it did last year and the year before. Every time I've gone out there, I mean, they're starting to school. You get your one to your occasional 3 pounder schooling. You can find smaller schools of bigger fish on offshore humps. Really chasing bait out on long points. There's a dock bite. You know, they're moving. They're kind of transitioning to get to about as deep as they're gonna get all year. Really, I think is what happens right now and through July until you kind of get the main like grass to come up and the water to kind of flip around and get weird. Um, but it's fishing good. I mean, it's the same thing. Throw top water, throw some swim baits, throw a drop shot. Um, don't be afraid to still go shallow. There's still a good shallow bite. The last time I was up there, or 2 times before, I mean, the water temperature it was relatively low. This year progressed a lot slower water temperature wise than it did last year. So we were in like the mid 70s and there was a great shallow water bite. You could throw like a stealth blade or you could throw a fluke up shallow and catch fish. But right now we're getting to like the best, like top water, the best, like offshore hump, offshore long point. The brush pile bite is still going to be good for a while. And that's what the lake does. It's very cyclical. It seems to do the same thing every single year. And that's kind of what they're doing right now until that grass really comes up and then it'll get shallow again, even in the hottest part of the year.
What type of grass are you talking about?
Oh, I drill it for the most part. I mean, it was crazy how much there was last year. People really started to get onto it. I had talked about it. I think since I've been on the show, I've talked about it. And then I think it's starting to really become a thing in the mid lake and down in the dam that people are targeting. I know Timmy won a tournament fishing in like 6 to 8 foot of grass with hydrilla up to like 4 foot last fall, last like late summer, I guess I should say. But that's been a bite that I've been on for years now, and the grass has just gotten better and better every single year. This year, I'm seeing it. start to come up. It definitely isn't. It's not going to be like full effect though until you start getting into July and especially August. August seems to be where it really shines, and it becomes like the main deal. You kind of have to be doing it. And it is a grind, but there's big fish. And I had a client that had one like 7 or 8 on the boat, like last year in August, and probably that fish bit in 4 foot of water. And you catch countless 3s, 4s, and stuff fishing mainly relatively shallow grass.
Hopefully that stays a thing, and all the grass carp that the county stock doesn't affect that in the next couple of years.
I hope not, because it's just gotten better and better. I mean, it was even when the winter series first started, it was still hot, and that was like kind of what I was doing just to get a limit. Was still fishing that grass that hadn't completely died off yet.
Mm. Is there still water willow on the banks too?
Yeah. There's definitely still water willow. I'm trying to think. When I was out there in April, I caught a big one out of water willow with my girlfriend actually in April. It was spawning, 100% spawning. I didn't see it. I just saw it on scope and knew it was spawning by the way it was acting. In some deeper water willow, and it was like 6 pounds or something. So, I mean, they're still holding on to water willow, and this fish just happened to be spawning on a clump of it.
Mm. In early April, guys, I know we're going to be backtracking here a little bit, but there's a bunch of tournaments that happened in early April. And it seemed like the fish were just in a weird funk with the wind, the cold fronts, and everything. Was the spawn very hard set on when it happened, or was it kind of sporadic?
I think it was more sporadic this year. Last year, it was like every damn fish in the lake spawned in a 2-week window. But this year reminds me more of like going back on my history, like 3 years ago, where the spring was like hot, cold, rained, and like there was just a lot of weather stuff. But last year, it got hot like really quick and was pretty stable, and the water temperature rose really fast. And I swear it seemed like every fish spawned. They didn't all spawn in 2 weeks, but it seemed like every damn fish from mid-lake to the dam spawned in a 2-week window. This year, I mean, this was like kind of like late April when I caught this fish, and it was mid-lake, and it was spawning, and it was a nice one. So I think it definitely was spread out from everything that I've seen and what I've heard.
That's awesome. So as we're getting into July, what are kind of the different patterns people should start looking for if they're going to go out and fish?
I mean, my number one, just because it's the most fun, and I think I kind of like, I don't know, I didn't like, it wasn't a big secret. People were doing it, but I just like kind of let the cat out of the bag on the big top water. I mean, I never, from June through August, there's not a day that I don't have that massive top water on. Bluebird skies, doesn't matter. It does not matter. They will hit it. I've caught 5.5, almost 6 pounders on that thing in like the dead of July on a bluebird sky day, over a brush pile too. Like watch a fish come up on scope out of like 12 foot of water to smoke it. So always have a top water on this time of year. Always have a little swim bait on. Oh, I mean, a drop shot's like the simplest thing to say to have on, and because it works. I mean, I don't know how many big fish Timmy, Matt catch on a drop shot every year there, and don't do anything crazy with it. Just throw it by the fish and let it sit there. That's one thing that I like to do a lot too in July, as far as just talking about the drop shot, is I don't move it that much, to be honest, in July. I don't know what it is, just something I found out there. Like I just like sit it there and just make sure I have enough tension, let the fish do its thing, and they seem to bite it. The top water, I like to go fast. Speed kills on this lake. This right now, May and right now and through July, speed kills. So, be fast with your retrieves, especially on the top water. Some days they do want it slower, but you just kind of have to feel it out for the day. But never be afraid of speed as the water starts warming up, especially when you're in the clear water. Like that big fluke, I kind of like me, I called it the NASCAR fluke messing around. It's just a supersized fluke. Like, when I mean burn that thing as fast as you can reel on an 8-gear ratio and then kill it, like that, the things like that, the herring are going to be moving, the fish are going to be chasing bait. If you're not acting like you're trying to get away from something, these fish are smart, then they know. So I just say speed kills, moving baits, top water, swim baits, flukes. And then again, always a drop shot's always going to work. Kind of just keeping it simple, really. There's some days in July too that you'll find like a shaky head works better than a drop shot. Don't know what it is, don't know why, but for some reason a shaky head will get more bites. So I just try to try to mix it up, see what the fish are doing. And then obviously if you want to go ping a minnow, go ping a minnow. I mean, the fish are going to bite it. I like to do that this time of year in like really, really deep water. Like I'm talking from 30 foot, maybe 25 foot, like an isolated brush pile or a fish on a hump that deep. And if you just throw it down there and get their attention and see it to rise and you work it really quickly, just almost straight back up. You don't even have to have them going like this. It's working it straight back up. I don't know how many fish last year I caught doing that in June and July. So there's a bunch of different ways you can catch them. And you can still catch them shallow. There is a dock bite. You can go throw jigs under docks. But for the most part, I would say topwater and speed kills. And if you need 3 baits, topwater, little swim bait, drop shot, and you'll catch fish.
I mean, guys, you're not going to get this information anywhere else. This lake is insanely busy. What,
Yeah, it is.
do the fish on this lake or any lake, do they turn off when there's that much kind of boating activity, when you have the jet skis and the wake boats going crazy, or do they still bite, you think?
They still bite. I mean, this is another, I don't know if I've ever said this, but this is something that I know Timmy and I do. There's times in the summer where I swear on everything this is true. I'll be on a long point and the fish will shut off, and I will turn my boat on and drive a circle and get the wake going and get the water movement going, and then catch fish after that. Mm-hmm. So it just anything like get them stirred up or riled up in that moment, they'll start eating. I don't know what it is, because you think like, oh, this wake and blah blah blah. No, I'm saying if you're in Cocktail Cove and you're flipping, pontoon boats or something, you're probably not going to get bit. But a little bit of boat wake, if anything, just positions fish. Because I don't think they're going to move as long as the food's not moving. So they're not going to move if they're comfortable where they're at and the food's there. And I promise you, there's been times where I've been on long point in particular that I have made wake go against that on purpose, set back up, and then started catching them for like another 10-minute window. Because that's another thing with July that I definitely talk about on the show, and I tell people all the time, there's feeding windows. Once that water gets up around like the 80s and gets close to that, there's windows. They don't bite all day. They just fire on. The school gets active. You can do certain things to fire them up, but it's really just like a timing deal. And they just turn on. So July is when, if I know I'm around them, I either sit there or I run 100 spots and try to find, what fish are being active like in that moment. But you can definitely in July settle down in an area for forever, and then you'll be like, oh, I got to move. But if you just waited 10 more minutes, you could have caught a 16, 17 pound bag in like 5 casts.
That's crazy. I think people are always surprised how versatile Lake Anna can actually be.
Oh yeah, 100%. It really is. I learned that a lot, especially this fall and last summer going into it. Because I like fishing docks. I just got away from it and didn't do it as much. I went and skipped a jig on docks and caught a bunch of fish, and then you go out offshore and catch them. I mean, you can do really anything on that lake.
When you're talking with that topwater, are you actually working it, or is it just reeling it as fast as possible?
There's times where I'm just reeling it, but for the most part, I'm trying to make as much commotion and walk the dog, but it's not like a clean walk the dog. Like, it doesn't have to look pretty. It's just pure instinct reaction. Usually if it's one fish, I feel like it's more of like how you play fish with a glide bait and just trying to get its attention with it. And you might go slower in that instance and or faster, depending on how the fish is. But when it's a school and even a school of good ones, like you better just pop it and go fast, or else they're just going to be like, all right, what is that?
No, that makes sense. I mean, you're just trying to get that core reaction strike out of them. And it's crazy that we can still fool them with that, because you look at like the minnow bite, that seems like it's not as powerful as it used to be. It's becoming a selective time frame that they'll eat that. I remember the Okashira head was hot for a while, then the fish are like, I don't know about that. It's crazy how intelligent these stupid fish are,
Oh, they're super intelligent. Like the minnow bite, I know I'm going back to the winter, but it's the same thing. Especially this time of year when if you're fishing the minnow deep, like, man, this one of the fish on the first winter series that I won of the year, I worked a fish with a minnow. I was like counting it like 15 different times, and I almost chased it, and it would run away, and it would get so close to biting. And each time I would take note of like what little thing that I could get it to like really commit. And it was like like solving a math problem. Like, you got to do this plus this plus this.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do exactly that. If you did anything other than that, that fish was nope. Like, it was so smart. But then eventually the last one, it ended up being a 7-pounder, and and I was 100 yards away from where I had originally started throwing at this fish. So yeah, like, some of them are just smart as hell. And if you're not doing exactly what they want, you might as well just go somewhere else. But I was like so locked. I was like, I'm going to catch this fucking fish. Like, I'm going to figure this one out. And it was some weird, like, couldn't even tell you what I was doing with a bait like this big on a 332-ounce head. So, like, fish will bite. They always do want something. It's just like, sometimes it's not worth it. And in the summer, they're moving so fast and they're chasing bait that it's hard to like chase them down 100 yards like I was in the winter.
Is it harder to do that in the summer or the winter? Because you think about it, winter, lethargic, may or may not bite. Summer, they're moving at 100 miles an hour.
It's harder in the summer. I can 100% say that. People might like disagree if they're not, but once you get to a certain confidence level or skill level with the minnow, the winter is 100% easier. The summer, you're right. They're if you're not a really accurate caster, and you're not able to like foresee where that fish is going, it can be very hard unless it's setting up on something like a deep brush pile or a hump. Then you're fine in the summer. But yeah, with them moving and how they move and chase bait and the minnow, if your cast isn't perfect, you're not working it right, it's just, you're not going to get them to react.
I know they are so fast, especially now that we're reeling with scope, that they'll mix in with striper. It's fascinating how scope has changed, like how we think about them, that they only sit up on brush piles. Like, no, there's a majority of the school, probably the biggest fish, honestly, in the lake, probably just pair up with striper the whole time. And that's why you're starting to see striper guys catch these massive, massive bass.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'll never, this is kind of an aside, but I'll never forget one of the things that changed how I like viewed big bass was I was in Smith Mountain Lake. This is years ago. This is way before live scope. It's probably when I was in college, when I was fishing the college stuff. And I was in a very, very clear part of the lake. I mean, very clear. You could see down to the bottom, and like 10 foot, it hadn't rained a lot at all. The water was just as clear as it gets on Smith Mountain. And I see a school of striper, and they're going crazy. It's like early spring. And I see one, I was like, that's not a striper. Like, holy shit. Like, I mean, from what I could see from the water and it coming up, 8, maybe pushing 10 pounds bass next to the striper. It wasn't like fully schooling with them, but it was mimicking their behavior, or like going after the same bait and kind of schooling with them. And I was like, that's weird. But if that one's doing it, I bet you that's not the only one doing that.
No, I think there are more of them going to do it, because I think they're getting intelligent. You see this with deer too, like big bucks, where I forget who the heck I was talking to. So I've talked to so many people this week, it's a blur, but deer know when hunting season's in rifle. Within 2 weeks of rifle season in, those bucks know what the heck's going on. And I really think fish know when Saturday and Sunday are. When you get these lakes that are uber busy and they can hear all those mercuries fire up, it's like they have a weekly pattern of behavior, and then they have a weekend pattern of behavior almost.
I 100% agree with that. I think that's very true, especially on the heavy tournament season days. I think they definitely do kind of know, oh, it's been this many moons, so this is when all the people are going to come throw shit at me.
Yeah, because they can feel the noise in the water. I 100% believe that they can feel all those lights. I mean, I've been on a smallmouth binge the last couple of months because I've had so many smallmouth tournaments, and a smallmouth that's 18 to 20 inches is almost 10 years old. And those things are hard as shit to trick. They're like trout. They've seen it all. They've done it all. And you think some of these bass that have been beaten up by you, Timmy, and Matt, they get educated real quick. And I feel like that mindset has to change with anglers. Like, you have to treat it almost like you're hunting. You're being very stealthy as possible. You got to visualize your casting distances, all that stuff, because the more people I talk to, the more like you don't just roll up on a point, fire a cast. Everything has to go right to trick those bigger fish.
Yeah, it does. It's meticulous. People don't realize how meticulous it is, especially when you're doing some of the skipping stuff in the summer or the winter too. Like if your bait is off, I don't know how many times. Like I like to think of myself as very accurate with it. I almost think of that as an extension of my body, the scope and where I'm casting, just how often I've used it. But there would be, I mean, one of the things I figured out was if you could be within, if you were more than like a foot or less between exactly what I was trying to do with the minnow and pull that fish off like a rock or something, it didn't care. Like you had to be so precise, and we're not talking so precise in 10 foot of water. I'm talking so precise in 25 foot of water hanging off a ledge. Like it was the precision of it and like how careful you have to be and present it exactly right to do it, or else that fish is just like, no, I have no interest. That's not real. Can't be real. It would never do. A bait would never do it like that.
Yep.
I think and that's where the speed comes in the summer, because they've seen you reel a steady retrieve chatterbait, a steady retrieve fluke. They've seen that. But when you see a bass chase a bait fish, that bait fish is swimming for its life. So if you're not swimming your bait for its life, that bass has nothing to do with it.
You ever thought about getting back into tournament fishing? I know your life is crazy hectic right now.
Oh yeah, I'm always going to fish tournaments until the day I die. I just pick and choose. I'm just like just show up kind of when I want to show up kind of thing. Like the winter series, I'll fish the winter series, of course. I'm going to jump into some Sunday series here too. Me and my girlfriend are gonna fish a Sunday series before the summer's open together. So before they end it, so we'll do that, and then I'll jump in here and there, and I'll always go to different lakes and fish them. My parents are building a house on Smith Mountain Lake right now. It's almost done, so I'll have a chance to go down there and jump into derbies. No, I'm always gonna fish tournaments, but as far as like how much I can invest into it, and put time into it and like make that commitment to fish like a full series, I just can't do it right now. I mean, I would love to, obviously, but I just can't. I know I'm good enough too. It's not like anything like that. Like I'm worried about it. It's just like I'm working so much. There's all these things, and then there's the financial aspect of it, because you don't make fucking money fishing these tournaments. Like you don't. So you're gambling. We're gamblers, and that's kind of what it is. But it's fun as hell. So
yeah, I'm glad you said that, because it's something I've been saying on Basscast for a couple of months now. It's just a casino, and it is. You're going in there and you're just giving the money casino, because it's not. Is it a sport? What is your definition of a sport? Is it like football, baseball? Not really, because those are true athletes, get paid to be there. A lot of this is you're just betting that you'll win more than you lose. But in the end, that's really hard to do.
Yeah, it's really hard to do. Like even, I don't know how it doesn't matter. I don't know how many I played in the winter series. I won 2 of them, and I placed in a handful of others, got checks on a bunch of them, and I probably still lost money. It wasn't like I was doing it for the money. I was doing it because I was like, go fishing. But but yeah, that's just it's hard for me. Like I would love to. Me and McCluskey, I had tried to sign up for the Elite Team Series. Me and McCluskey were going to fish as a team, or the Elite 70, sorry.
Yeah.
The 70 Team Series. Me and him were going to do it. We were all in and going to do it this year. We just never heard back anything. So we were all in on that and ready to go. And I was going to commit myself to that with him and I. And, that would have been fun. Him and I fish really well together, and it's also like really funny just because like we're both like equally, I think, entitled to tell each other to shut the fuck up, which is really funny with me and him. And also just a bunch of dumb shit always happens when him and I fish together, but we definitely like just fish well together. Our styles like go very, very well together, and then it's always some crazy. Every time I fish with him, something happens. Like I jump in the water after a rod, like the launching the boat goes terribly wrong, or like we forget something. It's always something.
I keep forgetting that you grew up fishing the res too. It's crazy how that is really the place that so many anglers in our area got their start or really cut their teeth.
Yeah, no, it's a great fishery, obviously, and you can do so much. that, and then like the other private lake I grew up on, where you just had the freedom to fish whatever you wanted. That's actually where I learned offshore fishing, way before live scope was that lake, because like it was such a good lake, and we had little electronics and could do that and figure out the spots and go catch them like way offshore on Carolina rigs or deep plugs, something like that. So I was very blessed in the places I grew up to fish, where it wasn't like you had to do this, you had to be super finesse. Like grew up flipping, frogging, throwing like big crankbaits offshore, and then obviously the finesse stuff. But yeah, I think that this area, it's kind of funny how many good fishermen there are, and we don't really have, like, other than the Potomac, but I don't even want to talk about the Potomac. But other than, I just have a vendetta with the Potomac. But there is so many unique fisheries here. There really is.
There really is a lot. And again, like you and Ethan and McCluskey, it's crazy how all these people in that age demographic just kind of somehow sync together and get in the same network. I've always found that fascinating, because again, it reminds me of listening to a baseball thing where like Mike Trout talks about all the professional baseball players that he played with in freaking travel ball in high school. And then all of them eventually go through college and become professional. So it's weird how all these different things come together at points in your life when you're in a profession.
Yeah, I think all of us was the same, because I know both of them personally. We were like fishing, when, especially where I went to high school, like it wasn't like a cool thing to do yet. Like it is now. It seems like fishing is just like something that just, boys in high school, they go fishing now and they go to ponds, and it's just something to do. When I was there, it was weird as hell. And like, it was like, not like, I didn't give a shit though. I was known as the person who went fishing, who went bass fishing. And it wasn't like a normal thing, where now it's way more normal and so many people do it. And I think all of us kind of came through that same era where like fishing wasn't the thing to do. Like you weren't supposed to be doing that, but that's what we all did. And we all found each other somehow.
Tyler, I mean, I really appreciate you coming on today. If people wanted to book a guide trip with you or Matt or Timmy, what do they have to do?
LakeAnnaBassFishing.com. All of our bookings are through online, and then you can also call me if you go to the website. My number's on the website. My number's on the Facebook page. You can DM me on Instagram. Text me. If I don't answer a call, just text me. I'll respond to it. You can email me too. The email's on the website, but LakeAnnaBassFishing.com. Book Matt up. He's got a lot of availability. I've got a few dates here too that I'm going to be doing in the summer. I think we'll go out there and catch them. I think your best chance of catching big largemouth on the lake is with us, and we'll definitely be happy to have you.
Guys, as always, link in the episode description to everything we talked about. Go check out Lake Anna this summertime. The bite's going to be started heating up here in July. It's a great time to go out there. Go out there with one of the best guys on the lake. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time on Fishing the DMV. Bye. You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Ahrens. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.